Welcome in. This is episode 100. We have done 4 years, 100 episodes, 350 subscribers, and it's been a long, long journey, as we were discussing like 5 minutes before
As
the
I just
mic.
learned.
Yeah. James had a conniption about it.
James had
a
existential crisis.
Yeah, he had a very. I just saw his life flash before his eyes.
It doesn't feel like 4
It
years.
doesn't feel like 4 years.
Not at all. No.
No, because
People don't lie about
I
that.
remember every episode we've done.
Yeah, I do
All
too.
100?
Like, yeah.
Legitimately.
I couldn't tell you what order they're in, but if you were like, "Hey, give me the topic of all 100," I think I could go through and knock at least 95.
I actually feel like if you gave me the topic, I could probably give you one thing I said. Like I have such
I believe
vivid
that,
memories
yeah.
of each one of them.
I fully
It's
believe
crazy.
you can do that.
But I'm also just
100
insane.
episodes. There were a couple canceled episodes in there, so this is really like 104. But
We'll get to Brad Pitt eventually. We'll do Brad Pitt and we'll do the Percy Jackson movie.
we introduced
eventually.
Connor. I think
Oh,
around.
God.
Like,
Can I be on the Percy Jackson movie? I love tearing that one up.
We recorded that, didn't we?
Yeah,
Oh,
It just
came
got
out
corrupted.
Bad. It
Yeah.
came out bad. But anyways, we're here for number 100 for a happy day because we decided to indoctrinate Connor into the Michael Mann fan club / Heat appreciation thread that we have. And we watched Heat. Some would say, and I think we were both some would say the best bank heist movie of all time.
No need to really bury the lead there. It's,
But so yeah, Connor, before we watch this movie, what were your expectations going into it? Because I think I led with Connor, this is the greatest, like I did with The Godfather.
Yeah, you were
Where I
quite
said-
literally, you were like, this is going to change your life for the better.
Yeah.
There was some of that. There was some of like allusions to like, this is going to like hit your inner man and you're going to walk away being like, I am him.
Pun intended.
Much like with The Godfather. So I had pretty high expectations. I'm not going to lie. You guys have finally started to get to me to the point where when you say this movie is going to be good, I believe you versus being like, wow, this movie is going to be 3 hours and me dreading my life.
Nice.
So you finally broke me. Congratulations. Episode 100. We did it.
Connor is now in.
I'm surprised it took that long. I really thought Godfather Part 3 would have gotten to you.
Oh, it got to me. Just not know what you thought it would.
I think the only solace in that one was the fact that we all had something to say about it. Like if it was a mediocre movie with nothing to talk about, I
Yeah.
think we would all be like, "Yeah, that was
Skip it.
terrible."
It was a
But the
film,
fact
yeah.
that we could actually sit here and talk
we had
about
a
it for
pretty good
30
discussion.
minutes.
Yeah. That was a good talk.
Yeah. So Heat. James, how did you come across Heat?
How did I come across it?
Did you just sort of just like,
Well, he's lived in Arizona.
who's?
Yeah, just living in Arizona every single day.
Oh, I thought you were a.
Really
you were more
pro
of
in
a,
that
I
one.
thought you were more of a Suns fan. Sorry.
Rest in peace, Coyotes.
R.I.P.
Man, I'm really proud of that one. I'm not going to lie.
R.I.P. the Phoenix Suns
And the Coyotes as well.
and the Coyotes.
What happened to them?
Yeah. Coyotes? They're moving. Salt Lake City.
The Suns just got
Why?
swept
Yeah.
in the first round.
Feels bad.
Arizona sports, am I right?
Yeah, well,
You guys made the World Series last year.
when you don't have
Yeah,
ice,
that's
it's hard
true.
to have hockey. I get it. You know.
I came across it from a YouTube video about the best shootouts in movies.
Yeah.
And Heat was placed at number 1. Mm-hmm. And I said, first reaction was, wow, these actually sound like real guns. Which I don't know if that was your reaction. Watching
was one
this
of them.
for the first time. That alone, I was like, all right, if this shootout is good enough, I want to see the rest of the movie. And we talked about Heat because it was on one of your end of the year lists, I think.
Last year.
And I think I said this either on podcast or off podcast, but I didn't like it the first time. It's a very long movie and very slow.
It sure is.
It's a classic, like, streaming service,
Yeah.
2-episode pilot
Yeah.
thing.
It is kind of set up that way,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
But I was intrigued enough to watch it a second time, handful of years later, and I enjoyed it much, much more. I didn't have the initial, instant classic reaction that I think most people will sell this movie as, but I appreciate it more with each viewing, and now I would call it, I think, an absolute classic.
Yeah, I think if you go into it knowing you're not getting, like,
A standard,
yeah.
like action-packed movie.
You're gonna get like Taken or something, right? Where it's just nonstop.
which is what I thought I was gonna
Yeah.
get, and I absolutely
I mean, I had that same reaction watching it the first time, where I was like, when he's talking, I think like around the time where he's like talking to Edie, like just a random time that they're having a date, and I'm like, this is stupid. Like, why the hell are we doing this?
Yeah.
And then you get to the shootout, and you're like, oh, that's why we spent 3 hours doing that. I was like, oh, I like it, Michael Mann. I think I got a lot more appreciation halfway through the movie.
yeah. This movie is definitely tests your empathy.
Yeah, for sure. Just funny because the bank robbers are not really
They're not good
guys.
people. No. No.
That's
I
the
listened-
powerful storytelling.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast one time where they were talking about how like this started the idea of like the bad guy as the protagonist, and I'm like, but Walter White and Tony Soprano have like redeeming qualities about them. I wouldn't say that any of the bank robbers
right.
in this movie are like
Good people.
valuable to society in any way whatsoever. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like wife beaters are valuable to society.
But yeah,
That's how we get comedians.
I was gonna say it's comfortable to wear underneath a shirt.
Yeah, there you
but
go.
yeah, you know.
It's making a trauma joke, but yeah.
But this movie occupies a weird space because I think a lot of people who do watch it are very, very impacted by it. I mean, Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan.
is like Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Just two directors off the top right now that are very much like, I made this and is an inspiration. He was
Not
my
just
inspiration
fans,
for
but
making
like
this.
stealing from the movie, basically.
I mean, you think of
It's
the Dark
borrowing.
Knight, right? Like a
Yeah,
lot of the scenes from the
actually.
Dark Knight are very, very similarly.
that was where I learned it was Christopher Nolan saying that he was inspired to portray Gotham City the same way that Los Angeles is portrayed
Yeah.
in Heat, which is like iconic in this film. The constantly shimmering skyline at night is just so beautiful to look at. How could you not steal that for anything? you
Yeah.
know, on your own.
It's a classic.
Absolute classic.
But I don't think a lot of people do watch it. Continuing my first train of thought, I feel like it's just one of those weird movies where you're like, have you seen Heat? And like, I feel like 3 out of 10 people will say yes.
yeah.
But all three of those
They
people
will
will
love
be
it.
like, oh my god, that's the greatest movie
Like,
of all
hell
time.
yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of it just comes with one, length, and two, age.
Yeah.
And also, it's Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, and as well respected as they are, they do attract a certain audience, I think, particularly.
Like the film bros.
Yeah.
Yeah. They attract
know.
you guys, is what I was going to say.
All throughout the history of film,
Facts.
that's been what they attract. So it's understandable. I think some people would almost write the movie off to say, well, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, they make two, heady movies for me. I'm not into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you enjoy that, this is cream of the crop, in my opinion.
Or if you've been indoctrinated.
If you've been indoctrinated.
You've been
Well,
indoctrinated.
let me ask you this. You've seen the Godfather movies now,
I have.
and now you're seeing Heat.
Uh-huh.
Starring
That
both
is-
actors.
That is 4 movies with Al Pacino and at least 2, I think, with
Yes.
Robert De Niro. What do you think of both of these actors? And do you think that just based off of these movies alone, do they kind of earn their spot in the pantheon of Hollywood legacy?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say they do. I mean, yeah, I think. Oh, how do I phrase this? They're good actors who have good direction from the directors. So they're not. It's not just them being good at their jobs. I feel like it's also the reason these movies are so good and they do such a good job is because they're getting good notes and the framing of how everything is. So it's not just them, but I think that they do stand well on their own, even when you can tell that they're they're just kind of doing their own thing.
There's a video of Christopher Nolan interviewing the cast and Michael Mann
Of Heat?
of Heat, and they're talking about the diner scene between, first time Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are face to face in the scene together.
First time on screen.
And Christopher Nolan asks them, he's like, so when you guys came out of that scene, did you feel like you had something special, something iconic? And Al Pacino goes, no, I never think that about anything. And Robert De Niro goes, I'd never think that about anything either. And Michael Mann goes, I knew we had it.
He's like, I knew it. Yeah,
I knew we had it.
immediately.
Yeah, you just got to think like that's one of the most. I think that will be one of the most talked about scenes because two guys who defined their legacy or their generation of screen actors like were never ever on screen together. It felt like ever. And then there are these two guys who are not only are they both in the movies, but they're also adversaries and their conflicts are within one another. And
Yeah.
it creates like this Clash of the Titans type of feel to the movie where they have that dinner scene. Or like I remember watching the first time when he's walking up to the car and I was like, oh my God, this is about to be the greatest thing of all time. And then he's just like, hey, let me buy you a coffee. I was like, that's perfect. That's perfection.
Yeah.
You couldn't have handled that any other way.
One of the things Nolan talked about was how after the movie came out, people were skeptical that they were like together in that scene.
Yeah.
Because they actually shot the scene essentially like in one take, quote unquote, but they had two cameras running at the same time. So the actual diner scene is actually like all one take.
Yeah.
But it's just they cut back and forth between two cameras running at the same time. But people, when the movie came out, were still skeptical because there's no two shot of them. They're like, nah, they filmed it like, separately, XYZ, like they weren't even in the scene together. No, it was all legit. And it was essentially all one take at that too. So,
No rehearsal before
very
that
impressive.
scene.
no rehearsal. Yeah. That's
Pacino
true.
like insisted, I don't want to rehearse this because this is the first time our characters are meeting. And
You want it to be authentic.
yeah, it's. I mean, those two guys are just some of the best. Like,
You
the
can tell,
level
yeah.
of craft. Like you can give them a crappy director and you're still giving like a good performance. And this is a weird time too because both of them are kind of on the downslope.
Yeah.
And we'll continue that
They're
up
in
until
their paycheck era.
yeah, they're up until like this is like their last hurrah. And for Pacino, it's really weird because this is when he starts to be. I mean, it started with Scarface, but I think this is when he starts to become full like caricature Al Pacino, where he's like loud and brash.
Yeah.
and he doesn't like you just feel like he's on cocaine like 24. I mean, he actually is on cocaine 24/7.
Yeah.
At this point in his life. Yeah.
What do you think of the characters themselves?
Well, I mean, as we already said, all the bank robbers were all scumbags, as they deserve. I feel like, what's his name?
So there's Vincent and Neil.
Vincent is the cop.
I'm talking about specifically the bank robbers. I don't.
There's Val
I
Kilmer, the blonde guy, who's Chris.
the one who's the uncle in in Spy Kids.
John
Danny
Voight.
Trejo?
Yeah, Danny Trejo. Thank you. I could not think of his name. So
The one guy is in it for 2 scenes.
yeah. I'm like, he was done dirty.
Uncle.
He existed to be the fall guy, and that was it. And I was like, man, he got done dirty. Before the movie started, we were watching like what would you even call that? Just the main menu screen, I guess. Just a scene
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the main menu screen.
Yeah.
And
Millennials, am I right?
shut up.
What is this? I had to play to start the movie?
Well, my brain jumped a trailer, and I was like, that's not right. Yeah, so I was just flipping through scenes, and Isaac was like, you're gonna recognize some of these characters, but you're not gonna know where you recognize them from. And that was one of the first characters. I was like,
actors, yeah.
oh, dude, that's the uncle
The
from
uncle from
Spy
Spy
Kids.
Kids.
And the look on Isaac's face.
Never mind Machete, the more popular franchise that he is the title character of.
Hey, to be fair, his name is Machete in Spy Kids too. Anyway, yeah, I thought all of the bank robbers did a really good job of being believable scumbags. Not just like, like caricatures, but like, like it's like, yeah, this is a dude I could see like just being a person, and this is just what he does. Which I think is important in these types of films, especially when you're trying to craft a more human narrative.
Well, on that point, since the first time I watched this, I was actually turned off by the amount of time that this movie spent on the characters' personal lives. Did that hit for you in this film, or was that a miss this first time watching?
No, I think that improved it. I think that was necessary for some of the later beats to actually have an impact.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted the fight scenes when I watched it.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously we want the fun shootouts and etc. But like, I think I realized pretty quick or at least for me, this doesn't really feel like a heist movie. This feels like a movie about heisters.
Yes.
Bank robbers.
Yeah, bank robbers. So, like, I figured out pretty quick. I'm like, okay, they're not trying to tell the story about, okay, here's how we're going to get in, here's how we're going to do it, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be what happens after they do the big hit, and the type of heat they get, and stuff. So, like, I started to appreciate it more as a, don't look at the camera. You would have made the same joke. I don't want to hear it. So yeah, I just started to appreciate it more as like a character drama versus an action film.
It's a character study about the two characters are like polar opposites, but they're the same man who were just happen to be on the right side of the or different sides of the law.
Same coin,
yeah, like that's what I love about that diner scene because it's two guys just coming to an understanding. At first, you're like, I hate you, you're good, but like I still hate you.
Yeah.
And then they have that diner scene, and you can kind of. And the one thing I wanted to focus with that scene, or that I was paying attention to the most, was Al Pacino like starts to like you could see it in his face, this level of understanding of who the guy across from is. And there's because he's like I think he says like, so you never wanted a regular type of life, and De Niro's like, the fuck is that, barbecue or a ballpark and hot
It
dogs?
was barbecues and baseballs.
Yeah,
or something.
he's like baseball and hot dog or whatever he says, and Pacino just goes, yeah, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, going back to the actor
The way he
discussion,
does it, it's awesome.
and like Pacino and De Niro being like good actors, not that sequence. I was like, Pacino knows how to do face acting. Like my man knows how to just like exist and not say a word and have you understand exactly what he's going through.
That's why he's one of my favorites, because you can
Like,
see stuff
holy
like
damn.
that very visibly, but he doesn't make it super overt to where it's cheesy.
Yeah, like he's not
Or
like
you
sitting there
could-
going like,
you could tell he's
or
acting.
whatever.
Yeah. He doesn't do the
Who
Marvel.
does that to me?
He
what I
doesn't
mean.
do the Marvel like.
that's what I mean. Yeah,
He's right behind me, isn't he?
yeah. There's no
exactly.
like crazy overt motions to make it obvious. He
Exactly.
just
Or it
exists.
doesn't cut to another scene where like, oh, he's just like me.
Yeah.
Like he's sitting
real,
in the
for
mirror. Yeah, yeah. He's him.
He's beginning to believe.
But yeah, De Niro has that same thing where he's like, I never wanted to do anything else. And Pacino's like, me neither.
Yeah.
Then he's like, I was never very good at anything else. And then Pacino's like, me neither. He's like, all right.
Yeah, yeah. That
See you at the 50-yard line.
Yeah.
yeah. That scene really like I feel like brings the entire purpose of the movie.
That
together.
scene is the thesis statement of this
Yeah,
entire
exactly, yeah.
movie. Yeah. And really, it's like one of the main themes of the movie.
Agreed. That was. I think that was the point where I was like, okay, this is a good movie.
Yeah.
Like before, I was like, this is fun. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, this can be a cool.
And what's
character story at
crazy,
the end, and
it happens 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we rewatched it together, I was like, oh, cool, they're getting to the diner scene and the shootout's going to happen. I'm like, wait, no, what?
Yeah.
We still have like another 45 minutes.
Yeah. All right. So the acting is good. I
Acting
think we
is
can
good.
agree
Yeah.
on that.
Well, okay, well, hold up.
Val Kilmer?
I was
going to
say-
our guy, Val Kilmer?
Some
Well-
of the this is gonna sound bad. Some of the female characters really
Okay,
didn't do
I'm
well.
glad we're
in
going
it.
to talk about this. Edie is terrible.
Yeah. I liked Natalie Portman's acting, and she actually hit me in a place where it hurts because, as you know, my parents are divorced. I've been on her side where it's like I'm just waiting for Dad to come pick me up.
Yeah.
So like that to me, I was like, oh, like I felt that in my soul.
She's for somebody her age, she's really good. She has a really bright future ahead of her. in
Yeah, I
acting.
know.
Yeah, hopefully we'll
She's
see her in more stuff.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
but
she
the
did a
love
great job.
interests. The love interests.
The love interests were bad.
That's to me. That's just classic Michael Mann fare.
I
It's
think
in every
also
single
just
one of his
a time
films.
of the 90s.
I'd say,
yeah,
where female
it definitely
characters
was just
are
like-
written with one goal and they're not supposed to be complex.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely you could tell it was just.
But
an
the
age
character
thing.
of Edie, I mean, my God, is she an idiot? I mean, is that how down bad you were? Like, you ask a guy a question, he says, "Lady, what do you want to know? Why do you want to know what I do for a living?" And you're immediately, and then he's like, "I'm sorry for saying that." And then you're like, "All right, yeah, you can come over and sleep over."
Yeah,
It's like,
right. Do we love red flags? It's my favorite color.
I guess sex ed wasn't really taught well in the 90s.
That's not really a sex ed thing.
It kind of is, you know. Don't trust people you don't know.
That's not. That's just basics. That's just
Like I said, it's not
human
taught.
understanding. It's not.
In that same panel with Christopher Nolan, he asks the actress for Edie, like, what drew you to this character? What did you like resonate with the most? And she's like, when I read the script, first thing that popped out was how freaking lonely she is. She is like a loser.
She is indeed a loser.
I guess in that context, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's
She
just
never felt
never
the touch of a man.
conveyed that way.
Yeah.
Where like, there's no conversation where, I don't know.
She's kind of a disempowered character.
Yeah, there needs to be a scene there where it's like she tries to call home or something, and nobody answers
She just doesn't have the
or
control.
something, right?
Yeah. She is very obviously written as a plot point for De Niro's character.
But De Niro's character is also a controlling character.
Well, that
Yeah.
too.
About
But, like,
everything.
is very much like she's introduced very briefly, and then they're just having sex, and it's just like you're just here to make him think about these things later. You don't exist as a person outside of him.
For me, the scene that bothers me in their relationship is when they are towards the very end of the film. He's told her, pack your bags, we gotta go. And she's like, I'm not going. And then it cuts to they're sitting outside the car. It's like where the dance scene from La La Land is. There's like the single tree.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just want you to know that like I'm out of here, but like I can't go without you. And she just like is okay, I'll go with you.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm like,
Immediately rolls over.
that is a lack of that's one
That's
dimensional.
just bad.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also really McNeil's story at the end of the day, and he is asshat anyway. So it's understandable that he would not only manipulate her to leave with him, but then ditch her at the last minute to get revenge.
Which was pretty funny, not gonna lie.
Which is entirely his character.
it's the whole
He has
point.
such a white knuckle
Yeah.
grip on his whole life that he can't leave things.
Yeah.
And it ruins him. It just also sucks that she couldn't fight back really too well.
How do we feel about the supporting actors?
I mean, Val Kilmer is
The GOAT.
the GOAT.
Oh my God, the GOAT. Val Kilmer. He's the blonde one.
yeah.
Yeah, he's the pretty one.
That scene where they're all like conversing about what they're gonna do. And
well, there's a lot of scenes like
Yeah,
that.
so you're getting a little more
specific.
That's the movie.
if you guys let me get there, I'll get there.
No.
Get there.
The scene where they're talking about the last job, and it's the four of them or the three of them, I guess, or it's the four of them because Trejo's there, and De Niro's like, "I'm not gonna do it. Let's not do it," and everybody else is like, "No, we're gonna do it." There's a moment where De Niro says like, "All right, if we're gonna do it, it's got to be unanimous, but just let you guys know I got things planned," and it cuts immediately to Chris. And Chris has a face of like, "What the fuck did you just say?" Because like in a way, that's his dad, and like
Yeah.
without him in his life guiding him, he's not gonna like.
He's lost.
He's gonna
yeah.
be a lost little puppy, and that's kind of how you felt about Chris. And I think Val Kilmer did a great job of like portraying that at times.
Yeah. He just has that golden retriever energy.
He's so good. I miss. Val
I don't
Kilmer.
know very many golden retrievers that beat their wives, but
I miss Val Kilmer.
Not many are written like that,
that's true.
but this character is
Yeah, I thought the supporting actors were good, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do, which was
support.
support. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie is entirely driven by Al Pacino and Robert
Yeah,
De
no,
Niro.
100%. They are the main driving force.
Let me ask you this, Connor: did the overacting of Al Pacino in this movie at times take you out?
What, you mean you don't enjoy when he screams about
Give me
wasting?
all you got! Give me all you got!
That's that cocaine energy.
I love that scene. That scene is my favorite scene.
No, I mean, if anything,
Because she got a great ass.
if anything, it kind of helped like drive the fact that he is a character that is just like a broken individual,
Yeah.
and so focused on his job that he
Yeah.
cares about nothing else. Like when he was having the very serious moment when he walks in on the cheating wife, and he's like super calm about it, and then he screams about the TV. I was just like, yeah, I mean, if you are just that high strung,
my motherfucking TV.
if you are just that high strung all the time, like those little things will get to you, and like that's like I get it, you know.
Michael Mann originally wrote the character to be on cocaine, but that was cut.
It was
I guess
entirely cut.
It was
That
cut.
makes sense. He's
But
a cop.
Pacino liked it so much that he was like, "I'm gonna become a method actor."
As he should.
I love those scenes. I don't.
Yeah, I
I
thought they were
understand
good.
why people may not, but I love them
Yeah.
because it catches everybody off guard. Because I think the scene where he does the like, she has a great ass
Yeah.
to the guy, the guy going, "Oh my God, what is wrong with you?" is like genuine. I think,
Yeah.
I think there's like an interview or like Michael Mann did an interview or something, or that was like a genuine reaction to what he was how he
That's
was acting.
hilarious.
So I love those scenes.
That's
and it's so I just love 'em.
I also think it played really good contrast with De Niro's character.
Yes.
With him being super calm and collected all the time. And especially when they're on the flip sides, having the cop be the guy who's crazy and lunatic and constantly breaking things, destroying things, and having the bank robber being very calm was really cool contrast. And obviously a little bit of a weird take on, or different take, not weird, different take on how those types of characters are usually portrayed, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
Now, what about Michael Mann's directing?
I mean, the movie was good, so I assume he did a great job. I'm not as versed as well as you guys are to like be able to point out exactly moments where
That's
I'm like,
fair.
oh, this was a good director moment. I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
If
Well,
it all
you-
comes together, great director.
You
If
think
it
they
all
could have,
doesn't, bad director.
Gotten a little more money in the special effects budget.
Well, that's
The amount of times Connor pointed that out was so funny.
it was so obvious. I mean, there
I
was
know,
like
it was just funny.
there were so
It
many
was just
sequences where
funny.
you're like, I can see green haloing around them because they didn't do a good enough job cutting them out.
It's 1995, you know.
Which is why, like I said, I didn't hold it against them. I was like, it doesn't affect the movie. I just find it funny. I love looking at old movies and seeing where it's like, wow, they could not
I
do
wonder
that.
what year this DVD was made.
Anyway,
2017. Okay. Because I was gonna be like, oh, well, if it's an older DVD,
they remastered it.
yeah.
No.
But no, it's pretty recent.
Well, I mean, I can't imagine they would do much to, if you take a remaster and you make everything look way, way better and you really digitally enhance stuff, you kind of ruin the original art of the film, don't you?
Oh, that's a different conversation for another day.
You know what's it's actually hilarious you bring that up because literally
That's not this podcast, Connor.
in the interview with Christopher Nolan, I think it was either the cinematographer or the visual effects supervisor who says, I was so glad that we could digitally remaster this movie because it made it so much better.
There
he's
are
like,
definitely
he's like, I
instances.
know that's a controversial, opinion, but like for Heat, that was.
I mean, there's a difference between like doing touch-ups, making things a little bit clearer, making things look better, and like completely redoing effects. But like I said, that's a different conversation.
A la Star Wars.
Yeah.
That was what I was going for. That was my joke because I knew you would get it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah, but like you said, different discussion.
The look of this movie, incredibly slick, is the word that I would use to
You
describe
feel
it.
like you're in LA.
Yeah.
Do you feel like
Which
a,
is funny
a cop?
because I mean,
rugged.
Obviously, it's shot in LA. But
You
What's like there was a lot of green screen.
feel like
well,
a
the
cop.
thing about it though is like LA, like a lot of movies now, or not now, but like a lot of movies that do use LA, they use like key spots, right? Like Chinese Theater, Griffith Park. I'm struggling to
Landmarks.
name any other landmarks in LA.
He doesn't go to L.A.
I've been once,
You're
but
not missing anything.
like it's all the hits, right? There's a shot of downtown of them walking downtown, and there's a shot of them walking around like Venice Beach or Malibu or whatever. This movie, it's like I don't know where I am. I'm in a random intersection. I'm in a random freeway exchange, or like there's just like a lot of weird places where I'm like, this actually feels like a city that people live and breathe in.
Yeah.
You know what's really funny? The only other movie that has made me feel that same way about Los Angeles has been Paul Thomas Anderson movies. They have that same feeling of like you're just in a random neighborhood in Los Angeles, but like it's distinctly Los Angeles in a way.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like, you fade in, title, burn Los Angeles.
Like
it's
they're
clearly
not.
a shot
They're
of New
not.
York.
There, you're there. Yeah.
They're not using Toronto as LA.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
know that's in LA. You just
Basically.
don't know where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is what I love. I love about this movie because it does feel like, in a way, LA. It is a character, but it also just kind of makes the story feel more intimate because it's like, that scene of that last helicopter ride. You just see the big sprawl, and I'm like, none of this actually matters.
Yeah. But it exists there for like atmosphere.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. It's literally just ambiance that Michael Mann was like, this is taking place in LA.
Which I think is two things Michael Mann does. Well, there's two things I think Michael Mann does really well, and that's one of them is atmosphere and ambiance in his movies.
Oh, for sure.
Like he will really just let a setting sit, or just wait on a moment before cutting away. And I think the other thing he does well, because so many of his films are essentially action movies, is, you know, he's not, I think, the kind of director we think of when we think of, like, you know, those, you know, one perfect shot or every frame of painting kind of people. But what he does instead, I think, is he's a great director of actors. And because his movies are so physical, he always gives his characters blocking to let them be in a scene. Like, not just the shootouts, which were completely planned and prepped like months ahead of time, but even just like the diner scene, like just the two over the shoulders of the two actors. And yet they have so much space there to still like just let their expressions sit and form over time.
Yeah.
I think that's something Michael Mann does very well, not just in this movie, but in a lot of his other movies too, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Think of Collateral.
Very
and-
eloquently
yeah.
said.
Specifically.
As a usual James eloquent moment. Yeah. Give it
We get,
about
like-
5 minutes. He's gonna flub something. It'll be really funny.
Hold up, let him cook. Let him cook.
So I don't like the ending of this movie, guys.
Hot take. Bad film.
Let's get to the action sequences, shall we?
Let's get there.
I
Well,
have
let's talk
notes.
about the sound effects, the sound design first.
I like it was good gun noises.
Good gun noises.
Do you want to know? You want to know the secret?
Did they just fire actual guns?
No. Well, no. Well, kind of. So they had the prop guns.
Yeah.
And the prop guns actually do make noise.
Right.
But he placed audio, like recorders and microphones around the scene, the stage.
Setting.
Nah, I want to say stage, but they weren't actually on the stage.
Right. Yeah.
And he just had it record. So all that is in audio, like the day of the shooting, day of filming, for a better word.
No, there was a lot of shooting.
Day of filming audio. It wasn't like he went back and like had a Foley
Edited,
artist or
yeah.
anything like that. It was all like in the moment, which creates a like weird space because in the middle of the shootout, you hear echoing off
Yeah.
the buildings, which is like the coolest thing
Yeah,
ever.
it was super sick. Yeah, it sounded like they were there actually shooting at each other.
It's funny too. I distinctly remember watching just the shootout like on YouTube, just a clip of it,
Yeah.
before I ever saw the whole movie. And then when I watched the whole movie,
I think I did the same thing.
and I was like, oh wait, it's like this the entire film, not just for the shootout. Because that
Yeah.
first time when they take down the armored truck,
Yeah.
and they shoot the three guys, I remember being like, that is way louder.
Or even
than
before that, when they hit the truck.
Yeah, that
that's
too.
the moment
The
where I was
crash,
like,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
This
movie's
is cool.
loud.
Yeah, this dude knows what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't do it in his other movies, but for Heat specifically,
It's a weird technique that I don't understand why people didn't pick up on.
well, because it's
loud.
obnoxious.
Yeah. It's definitely like I was sitting there. I was like, wow, this sounds like real gunfire.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy this.
Yeah, that's literally where I was like, oh, yeah. Who would think that a gunshot
like-
actually reverberates on an empty street?
Because like one of my grievances with the shootout scenes was that characters would be talking while guns are like gunfire is happening,
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
It's one of
which is
those-
realistic. You wouldn't, they're
Yeah.
you wouldn't hear
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
But I'm like,
strangely
on.
liken it to the club scene in Social Network, where you're like,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
exactly what
Yeah.
it's like. I'm so glad I get to see this. I never want to see it again
Yeah.
because I would hate every
I understand
movie.
why people
Yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah.
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 it's very much like this is really cool. We're good.
Yeah,
You've done it.
Yeah.
You've proven that you know what you're doing and that you do it better than anybody else.
I
Great.
love it. I
Please
could
don't
see
ever
it
do
in
it
like
again.
5 other movies, and I wouldn't be upset about it.
Yeah, there are definitely movies where I think. It
I
would
mean,
be-
like my brain jumps to like imagine if like the Marvels were that loud. Like if all of those films
well,
were like
that's
loud
just
as hell.
Well, that's a lack of
egregious at that
talent.
movie.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, just like I'm just thinking like other films where they're like where like the action is a constant, and then they're that loud when everything's happening.
The ending of
Okay,
Civil
but there's a
War
difference
kind of
between
felt like
loud
that.
and actual like effects.
Yeah.
Yeah. And imagine
Like,
if the effects were loud.
like, there's no way Iron Man is going pew 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 in the way that Michael Mann
No.
did it.
It'd be obnoxious, right? That's what we're getting at. You're understanding the point. No.
I already made that point.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
Whatever.
agreeing with you, and Isaac's not.
Then why are you arguing?
I'm arguing with Isaac, not you.
God.
Yeah, no, I still disagree.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He disagrees. So I'm like, you're an idiot.
No, there are movies that I think that like would it works in Heat because Heat is really all about realism. That's why they take so much time to let the characters' emotion sit. That's why the bank heists are like they're not detailed, but they are still performed in a way where it's like it feels accurate. There's so much
Yeah.
like motion to the little details that the characters, just the actions they take, feel so real and methodical, but also just so like in the moment that it feels like, oh yeah, if you were robbing a bank, that's how you would handle cash. Like, I never thought about that before, but I can see
Well,
how this movie,
that makes one of us.
why this movie influenced other bank robberies,
Yeah.
you know, which it did because it was a little too realistic.
The scene, let's see if I could pull it up on the wiki, but I think that shootout scene is used by
It's like
special forces
training,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
The way they reload, specifically Val Kilmer and De Niro, because there's a reason they're there and not anybody else that is shown. But I think those two, I think special forces, I can't find it, are typically used as like, hey, this is how you're supposed to do it. And also, I think the way that they move through the street out of being surrounded is taught in special forces too, where it's like,
Yeah, they were
you
really
shoot,
efficient at that.
I
yeah.
shoot, you shoot, I move up, you shoot,
Yeah.
you take this corner, I'll cover you, and then now I go, and like the way that happens is also taught.
I think part of that is
Which is really cool because I think Michael Mann didn't like he had
just
no
was doing his
desire
thing.
to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
well, I know that they like
They practice it.
they
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
choreographed
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything was planned and detailed. I could have sworn they had help building the scene.
They might have.
I think that they, at least
wouldn't
on
know.
set, they
Right.
had. But
I'm sure they did. Yeah, yeah.
well, obviously on
Yeah.
set with weapons, you're gonna have like a weapons coordinator.
Yeah.
But like in terms of choreographing the scene,
yeah.
I
I see what
could
you're
have
saying.
sworn
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
had help doing that. But because I think I had heard that
Yeah.
factoid too as well. It's
pretty cool.
Kind of cool. Very rare that a film. It's
Yeah.
insane how rare it is for
Yeah.
just any gun work in the film to get compliments for being realistic.
Yeah, for
it
being- yeah.
never happens.
Oh,
Never
which
happens.
does make it really funny because like guns get reloaded 3 times.
Yeah.
The entire film. Like, because you're like talking about realism. Like they
There's a
magged
little
up
thing.
for like a solid 30 seconds with
It's the
30 round
90s.
mags.
It's
Yeah.
the 90s. It's the
I'm
90s.
like,
just
I'm
coming
like
out of the
those
Beverly
guns would have
Hills
emptied
Cops.
out way faster.
Yeah.
Nobody cared. It was the 90s.
Yeah.
Because that was my one gripe was that like within like the first minute of that first shootout, like they spray and they spray and they spray, and then he gets in and I'm like, all right, cool. So like check your mag, and he doesn't. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
cool. And then like he gets out and he sprays and he sprays and he sprays. I'm like, that gun's empty.
Look, man.
And then he
he's-
keeps spraying. I'm like, and then like it was like a full like minute and a half later where they reload. And I'm like, there it is.
Yeah. But
And
when
I
they
just- I
do,
was- when they do, it was a great reload. I was like, yeah, that looks
Yeah.
awesome. But it was just so funny because I'm like, everything else was beautiful.
you know what this movie has a surprising amount of? Is first person camera. Back when they didn't have GoPros.
that's true.
But there's a lot of shots that are from the first person perspective, which is absolutely insane for the 90s. I can't
It's
even
like, here,
really
De
think
Niro,
about.
hold this camera.
Yeah,
Just-
there's a lot because I was thinking specifically of the shootout scene because there are scenes where like it goes to first person when he's getting into the car, but it's like you see his arm extension, you see the gun in his other
Yeah.
hand, and it's like that's a
Or when Pacino lines up that shot.
yeah. There's a lot of that for this movie that. For the time period, from my perspective, as somebody born after this movie came out,
Yeah.
is cool to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I come from post, whatever it was called, freaking.
You'll get there.
No, it was a movie that was entirely in first person.
Hardcore Henry.
Hardcore Henry. That's
saw
what
it.
it's
yeah.
called.
Oh my god. I heard that movie was really bad for
What a
motion
trip.
sickness.
Yeah,
But,
it
like-
was. They had to put signs on the theater.
We talk about like also Paul Greengrass movies. He uses GoPros a lot in his film too, just for like because he is always on location and like super tight. Like Captain Phillips has a ton of GoPro stuff, but like that didn't exist back then for this
Yeah.
movie, and you couldn't take an iPhone or
Yeah, I mean
something like
cameras
that
were
either.
still like what, like that chunky at like the
yeah,
smallest.
this was
Like,
shot in film, so like that is super cool.
Oh,
in
film
my
cameras. No, they're like,
Yeah.
They're
oh, I mean,
massive.
yeah. I was thinking digital.
Nevertheless, regardless.
Yeah, gunplay was cool. Good stuff.
All right.
Anything we didn't like?
Anything we didn't like other than green screen?
Again, I didn't dislike the green screen.
And
I
the
noticed it
character-
every
and,
time.
And the character
love
of
interest.
Edie.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about the stuff that I didn't like.
I'll name one. Waingro. The
Waingro?
serial killer that turns on them.
Oh
Now,
my
do you
God.
not think
That,
it's a
that
good
didn't need to
character?
happen. That didn't need to happen.
You don't think so?
No.
That's like the inciting incident.
Yeah,
though.
I think he needed to exist, but he was definitely over the top. Like, again, for like a movie that's all about like realism stuff, his character was very like, you would have gotten caught like ages ago.
Well,
think-
it was the 90s.
I think that's my issue with his character is he exists for the plot that's fine. But his subplot
Yes.
doesn't really have to
Correct.
exist as the
He
Nazi
doesn't
killer.
need to be a serial rapist.
Yeah. It was
Serial rapist murderer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's a
that's
modern day
implied.
Jack the Ripper,
Yeah,
which is
don't call him that. That gives him too much, like, pomp.
anyways.
I don't know. I could think of a better way to put it.
anyways,
Jack the Ripper was based.
Yeah,
That's
it was.
I would at least agree that his subplot is a
it
little
was
drawn out.
It was.
perhaps.
It was just weird.
In an already long
I
movie.
feel like that's a thread that he had when he tried to make it a series. And,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because like that's a character you could expand on and you can make some interesting stuff about. Like, as part of the film, he was just kind of there to be a plot device. Which was like,
Well, he's also a character in a movie. Can you really blame him?
fair. Actor did a good job. I like, he portrayed a psychopath pretty well.
John Gage.
Yeah. Like when we get to like where he first when he kills the first prostitute and he's like, she's like asking how he was or like talking how great he was and stuff, and then he slowly gets to like that killer moment.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that was really well done. I was like, that was creepy as hell. I was disturbed. So he did a great job. It's just that the character was very just like, well, he's here.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Didn't need to exist.
No. Killing him was fun. I enjoyed that moment.
Anything else that you didn't like about this movie? I have potentially a controversial one.
Okay.
The soundtrack has not aged well at all.
Is there really even a soundtrack?
It is
I didn't even think about the sound.
extreme,
There wasn't even like
camp.
Yeah, there wasn't really a soundtrack or like
The
a
freaking
score until.
smooth jazz saxophone and electric guitar solos. It doesn't. I feel like even at this point in time, it probably was out of style, if not outright camp. But just rewatching it, I'm like, this needs an updated soundtrack.
Yeah, Michael Mann, why don't you go hire Johnny Greenwood and
Yeah, we need either Johnny Greenwood or freaking 106 Point Never
Or
on
just
this
get,
soundtrack.
Ross and-
Something like,
102.9.
yeah,
just get Ross and Reznor in there. Let
yes,
them cook.
absolutely, yes. This was the perfect time for them too in the 90s. This is what, just when the Fragile came out.
to 7
Yeah, that's true.
real quick.
But that would be one thing for me personally.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
every time I
I'd agree with
rewatch
that.
this, there is the
don't disagree with
scene
that.
in which it is. All right, it was Downward Spiral that just came out. That was 1994. Double checking my Nine Inch Nails facts there. Sorry. When Neil and what her name is, Edie, are at her house and they're sitting on her balcony and there's the green screen city behind them. The
first time.
soundtrack, the first time,
Yeah.
the soundtrack that plays during that moment makes me want to put it on mute. I hate that part so much. I know that it's very personal, intimate conversation between those two characters, but I cannot stand the music. Is so bad at that moment, in my opinion.
I think that was also the first moment where I was like, hey, green screen.
Yeah, it is the first moment. It is that first moment.
It
Yes.
Because I think they were having their serious moment. I just remember cackling. I was like,
So dumb.
oh my God. I'm sorry. They were so obvious.
No,
The
you-
car ones were the worst.
You're fine. You know what's really funny too is I never noticed that.
Yeah.
This just watching it this time. That was the first time I noticed the green screen at that part.
Yeah. And it was because
What do I know?
it cuts to them in the car after a very serious moment, and we're all like very quiet and somber, and I immediately busted out laughing
Yeah.
because I was like, "Wow, I cannot take this."
I was like, I had to say something.
Yeah, I was like, "This is like,"
This personally insults me.
I'm like, "It's not bad because it was the time, and I understand it, but boy, is this bad." This is like a college student's first film.
No, I saw way better green screen at ASU.
Yeah, we have better technology now.
That's true.
fair enough.
That's
Fair enough. Yeah.
And actual,
Even like amateurs can do better than
talent.
that. Like I said, it was the time. That's what they had to work with.
Yeah.
Isaac talked about the budget a lot. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
only made for $60 million.
Yeah, I don't hold it against them, but I will giggle every time because
Listen,
it is
man,
so
they
obvious.
took a downtown trip with a helicopter twice. Okay, they had to cut.
Cut the characters, man.
They had to cut.
Cut some of the annoying, obnoxious characters.
All right. Anything else we don't like?
Honestly, that would be about it. for me.
All right, let's do a quick top 5 scenes.
Top
We'll go-
5 scenes.
Yeah, let's do.
you
I'll start with number 5. the helicopter scene right before he meets up with Neil.
Oh, when he goes down, he's like, land me in that parking garage.
He's like, hold on, let me just requisition this. I know you guys are like looking for crackheads and stuff, but I got a coffee date with this guy in 45 minutes. Give me that. Yeah. I love that. Just the absurdity. That's my number 5, probably. Just that, like, just showing the buildings and going downtown and seeing that big sprawl where you're like, fuck, LA actually is that big.
Yeah, it's big.
It's a big city.
Even back then,
That was the
big.
90s.
And
Yeah,
it's gotten
so
bigger.
now
Yeah.
it's even more.
I would say, am I doing number 4? Are we? Or am I
No,
gonna
you're
do my
5.
number
You're 5. You're 5.
You gotta
All right.
warn me when we're doing these things. So
You're
I can
5.
prepare.
No, this is more fun. And they don't have to be in order. Just give me 5.
I can't list 5 scenes.
Just give me 5 scenes.
My number 5 would be the moment right before he gets coffee with Macaulay. He's in the helicopter.
All right, my number 4. Oh God.
I guess I don't know if this is in order.
Because obviously the bank robbery. Obviously,
My number 1 is the bank
truck
robbery.
Is the heist, the truck heist in the beginning. I can't believe they made GTA 5 into a real thing.
right. Oh my God.
Those are probably
No, it wasn't GTA 5 because when they blew the back of it, you didn't kill your buddy.
Oh,
Like I always
facts.
killed my friends with a shaved shotgun accident.
Facts. That's facts. That's a good point.
My number 1, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go in reverse. My number 1 is the fight scene, the shootout.
The shootout.
The
Yeah,
bank
yeah.
scene.
I think that's everybody's
100%.
number 1.
Yeah, that has to be
one of the
number
most iconic scenes of all time.
I actually probably would put that maybe more towards like my number 3.
Okay, what's your number 1?
What's your number 2?
Okay, my number 2.
Or your number 4? Or 5?
What direction am I going?
You're starting in the middle.
You do whatever you want, Connor. It's your list.
So the number 2 then would be the absolute final sequence when
Oh,
they're when,
yes.
when they're chasing each other.
In the airport.
Yeah.
The cut to
Specifically-
you like the cut to silence? The trademark cut to
We do love
silence
the
that
cut
we
to
do
silence.
like.
Specifically, I just enjoy that like
Love it.
how much it plays with like the location, with like
Yeah.
the airport and stuff.
Couldn't be made nowadays.
Could not be made nowadays.
Definitely. They would be on immediate 5-star wanted level.
Yeah.
Both of them.
I really appreciated what it did for the characters. You know, that was obviously their big defining moment, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, it's a modern like Western class duel.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved it.
Oh. Am I
That's
gonna
it.
go
That's
down
it.
my list?
You-
Or?
oh, I thought you,
That's
no,
his
I
number
thought you,
2.
I thought you were gonna keep.
That's his number
talking
2.
about
Yeah, so I went to number 3. Now I'm on number 2. Yours number 4, and James is number 2.
Make sure you keep track of that for those at home. There's a quiz at the end of this.
Top 10 numbers, counting down from 1 to 10.
Number 1, 5. Would
Number
be-
4, I think, would probably be that scene.
This is the dumbest bit
Let's
yet.
just go through the movie and each scene say if it's in our top 5 or not.
No, that takes too long.
That'll take 3 hours.
That'll take too long.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
Number
I
4
like
for
that scene
Isaac.
a lot. Yeah, that's probably top 5.
Where would the diner scene rank for you guys?
Oh, Tyner Jean's number 2.
Number 1.
number
at
2 for me.
least.
Yeah,
At least.
No,
It's
mine's
between
my
that
number 1.
and the. I mean, that's like.
the bank robbery.
Yeah, those two are like. Like if you were made this in a magazine, that would be the front page, one of those two scenes.
Yes.
And the other would be the center fold, the full spread center.
Yeah. I think the shootout would be the front page, and the two of them would make a good center because
Yeah.
you'd have one on each.
Yeah.
I'm going to give my number 3 to a single shot. And that is the scene where Neil Macaulay comes home for the first time. Completely empty house, bathed in blue moonlight
yes.
with the water in the background. And he sets his gun down on the table and he just stands at the window. That's based on the real painting. So it's not an original shot composition at all. But it just looks cool.
It is
It looks so, it just totally matches
I
the
love that.
somber mood.
When are you
of
going to
his
get some
character.
furniture? I'll get around to it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hi, where do you sleep?
He has no attachments to
He's-
furniture.
No,
No,
he can get up
that's a
and leave.
great character.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
That was a
great
good-
character nugget for him.
That would be my number 3 in my opinion.
I think that's probably the one like Instagram shot.
Yeah, for
This-
sure.
of this whole
it
movie.
definitely is. Yeah. What would be your number 4?
Oh, this is so confusing. Backwards.
So we did Connor's 3, number 2, and now we're going to number 4.
I'm keeping track.
Well, say my number 1 was set at one point.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No, guys, we can't overlap. We all have to pick different scenes for our top 5.
I'd say number 4 would be probably the hospital after the suicide attempt.
Yes.
Just one of those sequences
good
in
one.
there. Because like that just really hit me super deep. Like I said, like I really like connected with that character. So like I've
That's
been
what I'm
there,
saying.
man. Like I've never been in the hospital, but like I've been to that point.
I've been in the hospital.
Like, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
I'm trying to kill myself is what I meant.
What? Wait, what?
Moving on.
Oh, God, I didn't know that.
I said I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I would have just revealed that one.
I was about to say, like, holy shit.
He would have been in the hospital.
No, but one thing I really like about that scene, and I noticed it, is Pacino's, he does the whole, like, I can stay if you want
Yeah.
me to.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you have to go.
Yeah.
And he's like, you sure? And she's like, yeah, I'll be fine. He's like, I can stay. But he secretly, you could tell he's like, fuck, I gotta go.
Yeah.
It's the like him pretending that he's like,
Yeah.
oh, and then as soon as she's like, just go, he's like, gone. He's
And
like,
then he runs down the stairs with a smile on his face, which
Yeah.
is amazing symbolism for the whole, like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you go full English teacher, you could be like, he's going into the depths of hell.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
just at surface
That's what he's
value.
doing.
Yeah, at surface value, I was like, oh, that's so cool.
yeah, it
I
was
would argue
very
that
well.
is the surface value reading.
His page is the writing on the
Yeah,
wall.
no,
Yeah.
I like that scene specifically for that moment because, yeah,
That's
Yeah.
understandable.
It's a good one. Yeah.
it's a good one. Yeah.
I'm still thinking of my 5th one, so you go next.
I mean, Isaac's
I'll give an honorable
yeah.
mention.
Oh, yeah, give an honorable mention.
Give me all you got.
I'm surprised that's not in your top 5.
I love it. It's not a serious scene. That's why
Yeah.
I probably can't put it.
I mean,
But,
you
oh
could.
my god!
No.
Just tell me you fell in love. Just tell me you fell in love, Vincent. I told you I was gonna be. Give me all you got.
That's what he's a character actor for.
Just like you immediately like trying to flip the table.
Yeah.
This is a good bit.
Failing.
Oh man, I love that. That's a good one. You get shot walking your doggy.
Some of his inflections on certain words and sentences.
I
was
told
like-
They made
you.
for a great character.
Yeah.
I
He's a
told
great
you,
character.
baby. When we got together, you'd have to share me. I love Al Pacino.
So dumb.
Honestly, the dialogue in this film was a little campy.
A little campy, yeah.
Oh, I love
For
it.
I think
sure.
it added to it, to be honest with you.
You think so?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it just
100%.
made it so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure in the 90s it played more.
Yeah, it probably felt a little
realistically.
more natural. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of my, I don't know if you have your 5th scene or your first.
He'd be at his first. You'd be going down.
Yeah, I'd be at my 5th scene.
Well, my first is the bank heist.
That's true.
1 and
Oh,
2
that's
are
true,
the
yeah.
bank heist and the diner scene.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
What's your 3rd one then? Or did you give that?
Yeah, I think that was what that was, wasn't it?
One of
Yeah.
those. That scene.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you just said was.
And then
number 3.
4
Okay.
was. Now I'm starting to forget. 4 was the intro. 4 was the intro montage, I think, and then the first heist.
Mm.
Maybe that was 5.
Yeah. It was the no.
Oh,
Five was the helicopter,
Yeah. Okay.
which was James's number 1,
No,
Yeah.
and my
Okay,
number
yeah,
4.
I got mine in order.
My number 5
honorable
is
mention, of course.
Yeah.
And then second honorable mention.
Oh, waste my money.
Sorry if the goddamn chicken is dry, Justine.
I mean, I agreed with him. I felt bad about it, but I agreed with him.
Oh my god, I love that. I can sit here all day.
my number 5 would be a single character moment, and that is the driver when he's at the diner.
Yes.
And Neil approaches him and he goes, like, you want to do this job? We're leaving right now. And like I said, Michael Mann is good at that. He just lets him sit there, and the actor just says that like looks around, you know. Yeah, I'll be there.
No.
I'll be
We've
there.
all been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've all been there
Pushes
at one
his boss
point.
down.
Yeah, we've all been there. at one
We've all
point
been like,
in
man, I
life."
really just want to go rob a bank.
Yeah. Well,
Anything better than this, you know.
anything else? Getting shot in a shootout, I'm down. Like I was anything other than this.
But that, I think the reason that works is because that character is just introduced, like, with no prior context at all.
No.
His whole, like, relationship with his girlfriend or wife is built up, and then it pays off at that moment, and then it immediately pays off again during the fight
Yeah.
scene, and you're just like,
Yeah.
I really thought we would get something out of you, and it's even better that we didn't, because it doesn't pay off in the way that it shouldn't, You know,
Yeah, it just shows how
it doesn't
cutthroat
pay off in the way that it should.
Yeah.
it's a cutthroat world.
Yeah.
It felt very much like this is just a story that happened versus like I have come up with this and
Yeah.
it's fake and all that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So that would be
Sometimes
one of
people
my.
just die.
That's one of my favorite. Movies.
Connor, do you have any more? Where are you at on the
You
list?
have an
I think I have a
mention?
5 is where
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be at.
Okay.
Which I would say was probably like very early on, our first introduction to Pacino's family life.
Oh, when he starts making out with her.
Well, no, not that, not the sex scene.
No, like a minute and a half.
No. After that,
The egregiously long Al
Yeah.
Pacino just slopping
is-
all over her face.
which I believe
Oh, yeah,
as soon as it
Michael
came up,
Mann,
I was
that's what
like,
he
of
does.
course he'd be introduced making out with somebody.
Al Pacino, one of the worst on-screen kissers of all time.
It was bad.
We needed to have that discussion.
No, when the daughter's freaking out about
Yes.
Losing her stuff.
about
Her
losing her
braid.
stuff. Yeah. Again, just because like to
She
me that
can't
was
wear
like
the blue one. She has to wear the black one.
yeah, it was very much like again like I have been there. I
Yeah.
understand, and it felt very like I was like she's acting a kid who's stuck between two families really well.
It's also a girl who just has undiagnosed and untreated anxiety.
Well, that too.
It's
Which I mean, if you're divorced,
yeah,
divorced
no,
child, you
yeah,
probably
yeah,
have
yeah,
that.
yeah. But I'm saying like,
it's kind of par for the
yeah,
course.
yeah. No. I'm not trying to like.
But yeah, no. So like, exactly, it was very much like she's acting this very well, and it spoke to me as
As a human being,
a person who's dealt with
that's
that.
what's great about movies.
Yeah.
You can often find people to cling to. Mine is Al Pacino. It's
Give
almost
me
like
all it's almost like that's a thing with stories, and that's why they're told.
I already made that point like an hour ago.
yeah. Every time I watch a Ryan Gosling movie, I'm just like, that's me.
yeah. Then you send me 5 TikToks about it later.
I did too. I think I went to. It was us. We went to go. What movie did we go watch recently?
Civil War.
We saw a new trailer for a Ryan Gosling movie, and I looked over to James and I was like, "Babe, wake up! New character just dropped."
New personality.
Yeah, new personality. Yeah.
The exact same character in every movie,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
new personality
Yeah,
every
Yeah,
time.
I cannot wait for Isaac to go watch that film, make it his whole life for like 4 months.
I'm not gonna
it
watch
looked
that movie.
terrible.
It looks
It
terrible.
looked bad.
It looks so bad.
So we're gonna go watch it, right?
No, that's a no for me.
It
dog.
looked more like a Ryan Reynolds movie than a Ryan Gosling movie is what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, even I got that joke.
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds' worst career in Hollywood,
It's a debate.
worst track record.
We should have that debate. We should do like
Should
a. We should do like a reverse draft of
Bottom
people
10.
who like. Yeah, their careers to how famous they are. Like the inverse of that.
Yeah, like we were just
J-Lo?
talking about. No, it was Angelina Jolie. We were talking
Yeah,
about.
she has like 5 movies.
Yeah, exactly. We're like,
J-Lo that has,
couldn't
like,
put anything
4.
she was in. Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez. I think of her music more than I
Say, do they have to be
her movies.
actors?
Who else would they be? Yes, Quentin Tarantino, worst actor in Hollywood.
Well, I don't know, like because you were talking about people being famous, so I was like, I could think of
that might be one.
That might be number one.
I can think of a list of people who are famous that have no redeeming qualities. Like,
No, but I'm saying like for as famous as they are, who has had the worst acting filmography?
Tune in for episode 101.
Yeah,
We're gonna film right after
that would
this.
be that would be a really fun episode to do. Like
again, we gotta have
The
a we
actors
get
ones are
drunk and
tough.
argue episode. It's gotta happen sometime.
We don't have to be drunk to do that.
yeah, we can
We
argue,
have to be drunk.
we can argue sober. What are you talking about?
So the black hole scene.
Oh God,
Save it.
I'm
We have
gonna.
a
I
few
might
months
actually.
before.
I'm so excited.
4 months, Connor. Can you hold it for 4 months?
I can hold it. I have a lot to talk about there.
It's okay. You can do your research in those 4 months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can find out that it's actually scientifically pretty accurate,
It's-
considering it was 2014 when this movie came out.
Wait, we're not talking about this. I'm gonna get started. If I can trace back to the moment that I got started.
Dude, Christopher Nolan, worst scientist in Hollywood?
Yes,
Question mark?
Connor is fine when Iron Man falls 50, 100 meters from the top of the Empire State Building and survives. But the moment Matthew McConaughey survives a black hole off the power of love is the problem. Yes,
Man,
this is the tiniest problems.
Mary Jane could never.
Yes, Connor has
Not-
problems with
I'm not.
a literal scavenger getting lightsaber abilities and force powers.
Why are you holding that one against me? You have the same problem.
No, I'm saying you like that.
Oh my
like you
God.
have,
Wait,
you
we're
don't
moving on. I'm not having this argument.
All right, let's finish
I
this
don't
up.
have enough
Where
angst.
are we ranking Heat? S tier for me.
Yeah, I'd give it an S.
Very fun movie.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's even good films. It's difficult for me to sit for the duration of 3 hours and at the end not be like, "Whew, boy, that was a long film. And like that was one of the few ones where I was like, yeah, I enjoyed the duration of that. I didn't feel like I was like, okay, halfway through we can pause and like I'd go do something. Like
There's a quality to this movie helped, well, not helped. I want to say part of it is not just due to the length, but the fact that everything ties together, except for maybe the Wangrove stuff.
Yeah.
Everything ties together, and even the quiet and intimate moments have a place over the course of such an incredibly long runtime that this is one of those films where it feels like it almost like forces a rewatch on you. Like some movies are great and I'm like, I'll rewatch that if I ever get around to it. But with Heat, like I immediately was like, I got to see this a second time before the podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I have to see this.
I mean, I watched it once and I was like, this is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I watched it once and I was like, I didn't like it, but I have to see it again. I have to rewatch it. Something about just and true to form, every time I watch it, it feels like it gets more concise and everything
Makes sense.
Fun
its
together,
place
To a
falls
degree.
into
Yeah,
place.
its place falls into place.
I immediately upon saying that I was like, there's a sentence in those words and
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
You were
but
attempting. There was English at one point.
Yes.
It wasn't that.
Might have been Latin. Might have been Latin.
I had 5 words and I just didn't know what order they went in. Regardless, my point is made.
His point is made.
Good?
Good.
Good job, guys. 100, episode
Good.
100, 4 years. Thank you guys for being on this journey with us.
God, 4 years.
We are
Like 1.5.
Fair enough.
excited to see what happens in another 4 years.
Oh.
In 100 episodes.
Man, imagine what we can do in 4 more years.
God, hopefully I don't know you guys.
Let's do that. Let's do a quick time capsule.
Yeah. Let's take a 4-year break and come back. We all have our own separate training arcs.
Yeah.
One of us will be married. I'm going to put money on that. One of the
One
three
of
of
us
us
will
will be
be
married
married.
in 4 years. Yeah,
Okay.
for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely, yeah.
4 years. I think all of us might be married by 4 years.
Fuck no.
All right, fair enough.
Not at this rate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, for us, no.
Hey, man, it just takes one.
He might have a girlfriend, maybe.
Maybe.
Doubtful.
I'll knock on wood for that.
Will this podcast be monetized in 4 years?
Yeah.
It better be.
Okay, I think we'll have enough subscribers for it to be monetized. I do not think our episodes will be monetizable.
That's
I
what
see you're
Patreon is for.
saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just go OnlyFans. But we'll do non-nude.
So subscribe to. I already started it. Got the jump start.
What else? What
Self
else
feet
can we?
pics.
What else? What other shots can we throw out there?
Panthers will beat Tampa Bay, but they won't win the Stanley Cup.
In 2024.
In current year, yes.
I mean, here's the thing: will we still be living in the same city? Do you think?
Ooh,
Do you think any of
that's
us,
a
do you think
good
any of us will
one.
move in 4 years?
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes.
I'm going to say yes, too.
I think we'll all. Well, actually, I know I'll still be in Texas probably
We might be doing these podcasts over
remotely,
remote. Yeah.
or we just buy a space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're locking you down. We're signing contracts after this.
Oh no! Do I get paid?
Yeah, we can just go rent. We can just go rent out a Rooster Teeth old spot. I know the studio managers over there. I can get us a sweet discount.
Yeah. I've always wanted to work at Stage 5.
Be glad you didn't.
Actually,
I did.
behind the wall, it's actually stage 4.
Classic.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, we're out of here. Thank you guys for another fun episode. Fun 4 years. Fun 100 episodes. Here's too many more.